Oklahoma Gardening is a production of the Oklahoma Cooperative Extension Service as part of the land grant mission of the Division of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources at Oklahoma State University, dedicated to improving the quality of life of the citizens of Oklahoma through research-based information. Underwriting assistance for our program is provided by the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry, helping to keep Oklahoma green and growing. Today on Oklahoma Gardening, we look at getting the mower ready for spring. I share with you about when to start mowing, and Justin Moss helps us to look at some turfgrass weed ID. Bailey Lockhart shares a simple DIY project. And finally, I walk you through getting your home irrigation system set up and running this spring. It's almost time to dust off those mowers and pull them out of your garden shed. But before you do, there's a few things that you want to do and check them in order to make sure they're working properly. Joining us today is Dr. John Long, who is with the Biosystems and Ag Engineering Department here at OSU. Dr. Long, thank you for joining us.
Good to be here.
So tell us a little bit about what we need to do to our push mowers and our riding mowers to get them ready.
Sure, there's a lot of things we want to think about. Spring maintenance is an important task before we get into the busy mowing season to make sure that we're taking care of our mowers and making sure that they're good for the long haul. Some of the big things is just pull them out. First of all, there's probably going to be a lot of cleaning to do to start with after sitting in that shed for a long time. So we want to get everything cleaned off. Just look over the mower in general and make sure everything looks like it's in the same order it was when you put it up. Look for things that are, damaged, frayed cords, anything that we can think of that immediately just stands off. And then we kind of get into the process of actually looking at the mower itself and figuring out, what are the things we need to actually maintain or change or adjust. So the first thing we'll do is look at safety, right? Okay. So safety is something that we should always be in our mind anytime we're around any type of machinery. And so we should at least know about our mower, be familiar with it. If we don't have our owner's manual, definitely we want to make sure we find that. There's lots of good online resources to find those from the manufacturer.
So when we talk about safety, are we talking about removing the spark plug before we start anything, or?
Yeah, that's probably the first place we'd want to start, because the spark plug is the kind of soul of the engine. It's what makes the thing run whenever it's running. And so if there's any residual gas in there and we try to start messing with the blade or anything, there's a chance we could possibly start the mower. So when we disconnect that spark plug, that kind of helps kill the mower, make sure nothing's going to happen. And so that's a good place where we should probably start when we start doing our maintenance.
Okay. And what are some of the other things? Do we need to check the spark plug too, obviously?
Yeah, so while we're there and we've got it disconnected, we'll look at the spark plug, make sure that the spark plug looks like it's the correct gap. We can use a tool to check the gap, and then look for any type of fouling on the plug, which means basically if you look at the end of the plug, it's going to look like it's worn out or there's black on the plug. We can clean that up with a wire brush or wire wheel, depending on what we have available. If it's really worn down, then we might have to look at replacing the plug completely.
Okay, but those should last more than 1 year usually?
Oh, they should last a long time, especially on a push mower that's only used seasonally. Okay. Much different than a car spark plug that's going to be used constantly, so yeah. All
right, well, what are some of the other things that we need to consider before we start up our mower?
So the other thing we want to look at is, one, the gas tank that we have. We want to make sure that if we should have drained it in the fall, so if we didn't do our fall maintenance, that's okay. We can drain the gas tank now, make sure there's no debris in there, clean it out, blow it out with a little bit of air while it's disconnected, make sure it's clean, and then when we get done at the very end, we'll have it ready to put fresh gas in.
Okay. And also about the blades, that's the important thing, so we can get that crisp look, right?
That's right, that's where that actually occurs. We want to have good healthy grass, so we don't have tearing of the grass, we want to have a good sharp blade. And so we'll want to go ahead and remove our blade from our mower. We'll make sure we support it well and protect our hands while we're doing that, because the blades are still going to be sharp, even though if they've met a season's worth of grass, they're probably still getting a little bit dull. And then we want to make sure we sharpen that blade. Now the big thing with sharpening blades, that's kind of really the key here. We don't want to take too much material off because they are balanced so that when they rotate and spin, they don't vibrate.
Right.
And so smaller amount taken off is better.
Okay. Is that something you would recommend for somebody to try at home, or probably leave it to the experts?
I would leave it to the experts if you don't feel comfortable. Anything with this mower maintenance or any type of machinery, if you don't feel comfortable with it, keep it safe, refer to the experts. And there are a lot of, small businesses and others that will take blades you've removed and help you sharpen them and return them back to you. So even if you don't haul the whole mower to them, you can at least take part of that.
Okay, and what about oil, filter, any of that other stuff we need to think about?
So on small push mowers, the push mower is not going to have a filter, but we usually want to change the oil. You might want to refer to your owner's manual. Some brand new mowers that have just recently hit the market have become no oil change mowers, where you just add oil. They consume oil a little bit at a time. But you want to most of the older mowers that you run into are going to be ones that you want to change the oil whenever it gets, usually seasonally is the best way to do that.
Okay. What about a riding mower? Is there more to that, obviously, I would imagine?
So a riding mower is a little more complicated. Some of the same things apply. We still want to have our blades nice and sharp, so we're going to have to remove those. It's going to be a little harder to get to them, and safety is another consideration with trying to get under the deck of a riding mower. It's something that could crush us more so than a push mower, so we have to be very careful about that. But everything else, spark plugs, the oil, the big thing with the riding mower is they usually have a larger engine that usually has an oil filter, much like your car or truck. So you might have to replace that while you're changing the oil also.
All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Long, for all of this information. Is there anything, before we go, is there anything we should do as far as maintenance monthly or as we're going into the season?
So as you're going into the season, as you are using the mower, just keeping an eye on it. Make sure everything looks good. There's nothing that's going wrong with the mower. You can just listen to it just like you listen to anything else, and it'll tell you when things are awry.
All right. Well, we'll be back so that we make sure to winterize it properly this fall. Thank you.
Thank you.
In late winter, we talk about cutting back ornamental grasses to remove that dead vegetation in order to prepare for that spring flush that's going to soon be coming out. Well, the same is true with our warm season Bermuda grass. Pretty soon it's going to be spring, and we're going to need to get rid of some of this nice, beautiful blonde color that takes on in the wintertime as it's dormant. But by removing some of this dead material, we're going to allow that sun to penetrate onto that soil profile, warming it up sooner, getting those rhizomes and those stolons activated to start growing. Now you can see here we have a bagger on ours, so we are going to collect the vegetation. Now normally we don't recommend collecting your clippings because they actually add some nitrogen typically. However, this is dead vegetation, so we are going to remove it. If you don't have a bagging unit on your mower, you can also just rake the clippings up. Now we're going to lower our mower all the way down to a 1-inch height. Typically with common Bermuda grass, we're going to start mowing around 1.5 to 2.5 inches later in the season. However, again, to get it cut low, we're going to start at a 1-inch height. Now, of course, mowing at a 1-inch height means those blades are going to be right near that soil surface. So we want to be cautious as we're mowing, because we're more likely to even scalp the Bermuda grass, which is what we do not want to happen. That is when those blades actually interfere and damage those soil surface and can damage the stolons and the rhizomes of the Bermuda grass. So not only will it damage your Bermuda grass, but it also could impact your mower by dulling your blades or even causing some additional problems. So we want to steer clear of that. Usually it's not a problem if you're working on a flat surface, but be careful on uneven lawns, and also especially, as you can see, we have some hills behind us here, and on the crest of those, a lot of times that's where you'll get some of that scalping. So be careful with that. Now again, we've lowered our mower to a 1-inch height. So this is the only time that we're going to mow this low in the season, and that's just to get rid of this dead vegetation. After we mow today, we're going to then go ahead and raise our mower for common Bermuda grass up to about a 1.5-inch height. And then later on in the season, as the temperatures warm up even more and the Bermuda grass is really growing, we'll be up to about a 2.5-inch height later on in the summertime. So that is a little bit taller height, which is more of a low maintenance mowing program. That's going to allow the canopy of the Bermuda grass to actually shade out the roots a little bit, not causing any problems, but actually to reduce the moisture loss. And so you won't have to mow it quite as often. Now on some of your cultivars or your hybrid Bermuda grasses such as Tahoma 31, Latitude 36, and Northbridge, now some of those are going to need to remain being mowed at about a 1 to 1.5-inch height. Now remember, just because we're collecting our clippings this time doesn't mean it needs to go to the curbside to be picked up with your trash. These clippings are actually really beneficial to add into your compost pile.
So it's springtime here in Oklahoma, and we're going to have a lot of springtime weeds popping up in the lawn and in the garden. And so what we can see out here is maybe a lot of purple flowers, maybe a lot of white flowers, and some look very pretty. And some look very tall and very mature. So you may be wondering about, well, what can I do about some of these weeds that are coming up that I see in my yard and my garden in the springtime? Well, the problem we have is that these are so tall and so mature that they're a little tough to control at this point. And also we have to remember that a weed is just a plant that's not growing where we want it to grow. So for some people, they may look out and see these purple flowers, these white flowers in their lawn and think, wow, that's really beautiful, and may not do anything about it, and that's okay. They can attract pollinators. They can be beautiful for the yard. But others might look at that and say, hey, I really need to clean that area up. But first of all, what we have to figure out is, like, what are we dealing with? What are these plants with purple flowers? What are these plants with white flowers? So we can take a closer look and try to ID the weeds, and then that'll give us an idea of how to deal with them when it comes to control. Maybe it's a little too late this spring, but we can get on top of it for the next growing season. So we'll take a look at a couple here. And a very common one we have here in Oklahoma is this beautiful purple flower we see here, and this is called henbit. And the thing about henbit is it's going to grow out usually in disturbed areas of the lawn, especially if there's open soil. But you'll also see it coming out, like if you have a Bermuda grass lawn or a tall fescue lawn, you'll see it kind of popping up in areas there too. And so the purple flowers is really the key indicator at this time of year, but these are actually winter annual weeds. And so what that means is they may germinate during the winter, maybe even last fall. They survive throughout the season, and as we come into March, April, you'll really see them start to take off and grow, and you'll start to see them flower. And so for the most part, these are winter annuals, but they can be biennials as well. They're actually part of the mint family, and so if you take a look at the leaves, it may remind you a little bit of mint. If you look at the purple flowers, they're tubular looking. And if you take a close look at the stems, they're usually like square or four-sided stems. Also, you'll notice the leaves are opposite in a whorl, and they usually do not have a stem on the leaf or a petiole. And so you'll see them coming directly off at the top of the plant like we see here. Now another one that you may find, it also has purple flowers, looks very similar. It's actually right here together. It's called purple dead nettle. It's almost like a close cousin to the henbit, also in the mint family. I think the leaves look more mint-like on the purple dead nettle than they do the henbit. But you also see that at the very top, there's a reddish or dark purplish color tint to the leaves. You'll still see the purple flowers, much smaller, not tubular looking though. And then as you go down the stem, it's also that square stem, and you can feel it as you touch it. But you may see petioles on the leaves as you get farther down the stem. So that'll help you differentiate between the two, but both are winter annuals, both in the mint family. Really going to deal with them about the same way. Now we also see some white flowers out here as well. And this is shepherd's purse. And what's neat about it is, again, at this time of year, it's going to be seeding out. And so you see these little seed pods that almost look heart-shaped at the top, or like a shepherd's purse. That's where it gets its name. And beautiful white flowers on it. It comes up like a rosette. And so really, if you find it earlier in the season, it'll almost get confused with like a dandelion or something with that, the leaves close to the ground, and then all of a sudden, springtime hits, boom, they shoot up and start to set these white flowers and these shepherd purse looking seeds. So those are some common ones that we deal with at this time of year. There are others scattered through here, maybe a little tough to see, but I also want to mention that you'll find Carolina geranium. And that one is actually growing here a little closer to the ground. Not going to have the purple flowers, but some people get it confused with henbit. But the big difference here is you're not going to see those purple flowers coming up from the ground. Also in here, there's a grassy weed or two. So I'm looking right down here and I see annual bluegrass. All these are winter annuals. The difference is you have some broadleaf plants like I've been talking about. You also have winter annual grasses like annual bluegrass that will come up. So to get on top of these, you really have to have a program of having a healthy lawn, a healthy garden to keep the weeds out. Doing what you can do to have a nice healthy yard, like proper cultural practices, fertilization, irrigation, and so on. If you really want to prevent these weeds from coming up, you can put a weed preventer down in the fall or in the early spring/late winter. When it gets to this time, when you're trying to battle them, really all you can do is mow it down and keep it from going to seed, or let the flowers stay out there and just enjoy the butterflies and enjoy the pollinators as they come through your lawn.
Water is an important part of any gardening. How you get your water to your plants can happen in many different ways. You can use buckets, you can use water hose, or you can use irrigation systems as well. So a lot of people use water hoses just because it's really simple and convenient. You want to make sure to take care of your water hoses though. If you have your water hose just laid in your garden, it could cause several different issues, such as it could be a tripping hazard and cause injury to you or someone else who would be walking through your yard. Or every time you mow, you could run over it and damage the hose, so you'd either have to repair your hose or you'd have to buy a new hose every time you mow. So it's very important to take care of the hose. Today I want to show you an easy way to store your garden hose. There are a few different items that you'll need before you start your project. The first one is a T-post. You'll need some 2x4s, a saw to cut your 2x4s, a drill, and a hose holder of some kind. As you can see, we have already driven this T-post into the ground. You need to make sure you know where your water and electric lines are and anything else that might be under the ground, so that way you don't hit it whenever you're driving your T-post. We're using a T-post today because it's fairly easy to install, and if we needed to move it out of the way later down the road, it's not too difficult to take out of the ground. You could use a 4x4 post instead, and it'd be a lot less work to put it into the ground, but you'd have to put concrete and it would make it a lot more permanent and more difficult to remove if you needed to pull it out of the way later down the road. After driving your T-post in the ground, the next step is to measure and cut your 2x4s. So whenever you have 4 pieces cut to length, you will assemble a box and drill those together. After you have all of your 2x4s drilled together, slide your 2x4 box on top of your T-post. From there, you can decide how high you want your hose holder to be. Once you've decided about how tall you want it, you can mark it and drill some screws into the 2x4 box. And with that, your project is complete. All you have to do is add your water hose, hook it up to some water, your hose holder is ready to go. I'm gonna go a couple extra steps just to help preserve the life of this hose holder. The first thing I'm gonna do is install this solar light cap. You can use a plain post cap if you want to, but this will help keep the water from going inside of the 2x4 box that we just built. That helps it to not rot from the inside out. I'm going to add another step and put a water sealant on the post just to help repel any water or any other inclement weather we might have out here. Also keeps the water hose water from hitting the post and causing it to age a lot faster than it should. You could add another step to make it more personalized and add some paint or a wood stain of your choice to make it fit in better with the design of your outdoor space.
As we head into spring, we want to start also thinking about bringing our irrigation system back online. Now, a lot of times we just shut it down in the winter time, and that's fine, but before it becomes a necessity this summer, we want to make sure that we've got it up and running. So the one thing you want to do before you start anything is to kind of visually inspect any heads that you might have had and make sure that they don't seem to be too much of a problem or damaged or anything like that before we actually turn them on. Especially check the ones that might be up near the driveway where they might have accidentally gotten hit by a car as it pulled in or backed up. The other thing you want to do is go ahead and check those valve boxes just to make sure that you don't see visibly any damage to them. Now be careful when you're opening these up, because a lot of times some winter animals might have found some refuge in there during those colder temperatures. So a lot of times you'll find toads, you might find a snake, or even some black widow spiders in there, or even some rodents that might have made a nest. So if you find any debris in there, go ahead and clean that out. Just be careful and make sure you wear gloves as you're doing that. Now, after you've kind of visually inspected everything, it's time to go ahead and take a look at your controller. Now, just like we changed our clocks in our home recently, you also want to make sure that the time on your controller is accurate, so that you know that your irrigation is going off when it's supposed to be going off. After you've checked your time, you also want to make sure that, again, your display looks like it's working accurately and all the wires are okay and haven't been chewed or anything like that, or damaged in any way. The other thing is, if you have a wireless controller, now's a good time to go ahead and change those batteries, just kind of like your smoke detector that you change at daylight savings time. Go ahead and change those batteries in your wireless controllers so that you're ready to go through into that summer season. Once you've done that, it's time to go ahead and start turning on our system. A lot of times that might start by turning on the main line if you've turned that off during those winter months. So usually that's a ball valve that you're going to slowly turn on so that it doesn't pressurize the system and cause any jarring of those pipes. So slowly turn that on. The other thing you want to be mindful of is if you have opened any drain valves or any soaker hoses or anything like that, while that will help flush that out initially, you do want to make sure that you close those eventually so that you're not just losing your water that way. So once we've got water in our system, we will want to go ahead and turn our zones on. So one of the best ways to do this is go back to the controller and actually do a cycle test. So where you can go and if your controller doesn't have that, a lot of times you can just put a program in there where you run through each zones for about 3 minutes. That usually is enough time to allow you to visually inspect each one of those zones. Again, making sure that they're not bubbling from down at the base of that head where it might be cracked. Also, you want to make sure that they are covering properly. So if you have rotors or sprays that maybe the spray is going off onto the sidewalk, you want to rotate those and adjust those. Now keep in mind, landscapes hopefully are growing. That's the point. And as landscapes grow, sometimes those plants will interfere with the coverage of your sprays and different heads that you have. So now is a good time also to make sure that you are getting good coverage, that that shrub hasn't grown too much and isn't interfering with range or the reach of that water. If that's the case, it might be time to go ahead and adjust your actual irrigation system and look at replacing some of those for a more appropriate spray or delivery method of that water. If you want to do that, or if you have any major damage, now's a good time to go ahead and call an irrigation company to come in and fix that. Once you've got all of that repaired, and you're ready, or if you don't have any repairs to make, if you're ready to go ahead and start your irrigation, it's important to remember to go ahead and set that schedule. The best time to water is early in the morning, and the reason why is because it allows the plants and the landscape to go into the day well hydrated. It also allows that water that might be on the foliage and around that plant to go ahead and dry off during the day, so it reduces any fungus or pathogens that might grow on those plants. And when you're doing that, you want to make sure that you're watering your plants deeply and less frequently. This will encourage those roots on your plants to establish deeper down into the ground, making them more resilient as we go into those hot, drier months. And as we go into those hot, drier months, it also means you're going to have to look at your irrigation schedule regularly to see if it's still appropriate as those temperatures heat up. Now, while you've inspected your irrigation system now, early in the spring, it is important to visually inspect it about once a month. Often our irrigation schedule is set to come on early in the morning, so we might not even ever see it. So once a month, make sure to regularly go through that test cycle so that you can check and make sure none of your heads have been damaged. Doing all of this now will save you a headache later. There are a lot of great horticulture activities this time of year. Be sure and consider some of these events in the weeks ahead. Next week on Oklahoma Gardening, we start to clean out the garden and then take a closer look at some wildlife. To find out more information about show topics as well as recipes, videos, articles, fact sheets, and other resources, including a directory of local extension offices, be sure to visit our website at oklahomagardening.okstate.edu. Join in on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find this entire show and other recent shows as well as individual segments on our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. Tune in to our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel to watch segments from previous hosts. Oklahoma Gardening is produced by the Oklahoma Cooperative Extension Service as part of the Division of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources at Oklahoma State University. The Botanic Garden at OSU is home to our studio gardens, and we encourage you to come visit this beautiful Stillwater gem. We would like to thank our generous underwriter, the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry. Additional support is also provided by Pond Pro Shop, Greenleaf Nursery and the Garden Debut Plants, the Tulsa Garden Center at Woodward Park, the Oklahoma Horticultural Society, Smart Pot, and the Tulsa Garden Club.